It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have a video suggested by one of you guys. Shout out to Dimitri for suggesting this. This is from I think that's Ashimov's. I probably mispronounced it. It's titled How I Change All 324 Perks in Dead by Daylight. Now under that I think there was a couple of timestamps, so some people graciously gave some timestamps, because you know, when looking at the chapters, it's kind of hard to you know, kind of figure out or find the one that I would want to talk about, because it only gives you like sort of like the in-betweens, you know what I mean? So thankfully there's a timestamp, so the original video's in the description. First one I think is about an hour and 28 in, and it has to do, I believe, with sprint burst, I think, or something like that.
It's a little bit if you're opening exit gates, maybe have a draw of this 10% on the thing. Whenever you start running, you gain 50% haste for 3 seconds, and you gain exhausted for 40. I'd maybe say this could use a nerf a bit like Lithe, where it's a little annoying still, I think. It's a little bit too easy to run. It can often get you too big an advantage in chase that people just don't really bother. I think knocking this down to like, yeah, I don't know, like 35 or even like 25% haste for like 4 seconds would maybe be better, because
now we can say with the advantage of hindsight that they have indeed are planning to nerf sprint burst as it is, and I think they're reducing the haste, and I think they're also reducing the duration. I believe it is something like that. I already can't remember, but the fact of the matter is we can at least say with some confidence that sprint burst will hopefully, you know, be used less. Hopefully it's a lot less weaker. And the one bonus, I guess, that comes into play, which I want to talk about live too, but is the fact that maybe we're starting to get like these perks looked at. Now, chances are this is still behavior, so we know that they're not going to be looking at anything. I also want to quickly briefly mention what was mentioned in the video, which was like that sprint burst was so powerful in that sense that people tend to just kind of not even chase them at all the second it activates. And I can say I do that constantly when I did play the game, because of how common it has been used. It has been unchanged for over 10 years, or whatever, how many years it took for them to add it first, but we'll say 10 years for the sake of argument. It's been unchanged, so yeah, like, what do you expect, right? And for some reason people just don't understand like the strength of perks. They don't understand why in this case sprint burst is so powerful. Like, I've seen comments like that. I've seen people just, I don't know, I honestly don't know how they don't know. Like, you're literally gaining free distance in a single second. Like, you're in one spot, in the next spot in half of a second, which means that you can just use that to then go to somewhere that's safer. Like, if you're on a gen out in the open, you can speed off to a tile. What do you mean? Like, how is that not powerful? How is that not worthy of discussion? Like that, like, oh, but you know, Blight, and it's like, not every character's Blight, dude. Like, if every character was Blight, this game would be completely different. You know, I'd understand. But every character's not Blight. They're not strong. Like, if the only S tiers that are available to you are one character now, which is just Nurse, that in itself is the issue. Like, that in itself is a problem. We need characters to be closer to where Blight is right now, which is the A tier. We need characters not to game break like Nurse does, but at least be around where Blight is at, where it's like you can still counter these things with skill and expression, but not so weak to where we have Skull Merchant Trapper range. Like, we need it more in line with the rest to equalize it, so that there's more options for variety on the killer and survivor side. That is the point. But that's why you only see Kaneki and Blight, because what other options do you have when these perks are as crazy as they are, the gen speeds are as crazy as they are? And that's why sprint burst has been meta for so long, because it's that strong that most of the roster is countered by just speeding away with a single button. Like, it, and that's why it's so crazy. I mean, it's obvious, but for some reason it's not to others. It's weird. We have another one timestamp, thankfully, that has to do with live.
Or fast vault, you gain 50% haste for 3 seconds, you gain exhausted for 40 seconds. So I think maybe slightly controversial. I think debatably this could be nerfed somewhat, maybe also buffed though at the same time. So instead of, I think, such a large haste bonus of 50%, it could probably be closer to like 35, just because this one is one of the most controllable exhaustion perks, and it's also one that can often give you the biggest advantage in a chase, I would say, because you can control when you use it. So I honestly think making this like 35% haste wouldn't be such a bad thing. Maybe you could make it like 25% haste, but then you make it 4 seconds or something. I don't know if that even makes it lower, to be fair, overall. But I think a lower increased speed over a longer duration would be a lot fairer for this perk, because
Now, one thing that I've mentioned previously, because the idea is not bad, this sort of suggestion is similar to what we've heard with the sprint burst change that was suggested. My thought process was, why not change the requirements for this perk in particular? Because, mind you, Lithe is in the same camp of sprint burst, where it's like you can be brainless and pop it out of your butthole and get free distance for doing nothing. So they both fall into that camp, right? And I would like more exhaustions to be closer in line to something like Smash It, where there's input required, there's actual skill expression in that sense. I wouldn't say it's a lot. I wouldn't say it's like, oh my god, like you're playing freaking chess, but like, you know, have it be a reward for doing what you need to do. Like, that makes sense. Versus I pop vault because I suck at the game, so okay, free speed. Or, oh, I suck at positioning myself and not paying any attention to the fucking game, so I can just sprint away for free with a speed boost. Those things are two different things. So I want more perks to be like Smash It in that sense, because it's like, if you can stun the killer at some point with a pallet, then hey, there's your reward. You got your speed. Like, that makes sense. So I would like more things like that. More things that require you to do better in those things that make the game interesting. So for example, when I've talked about Lithe in the past, I've said, why not remove the requirement to medium vault? Just make it only fast vaults. Because if you, like, people that are fast vaulting consistently are people that are experienced enough to be able to do it on a consistent basis. And it's not even like it's hard. I have to keep pointing this out. Like, Survivor skill expression does exist, but the very basics of just fast vaulting does not require that much hours. You run in a straight line at a window and you press the space bar. Not that hard to do. So why is it that we have a perk that you can medium vault and just pop a speed boost? If you medium vault and you didn't mean to do that, that probably means you didn't position correctly. So Lithe will allow for more skill expression and rewarding you for positioning yourself correctly than just hugging a wall and then touching the window and flying away. Those are two different things, right? So that's where I'm getting at when it comes to Lithe in that sense. You can even keep the values the same if you really want to, but remove the medium vault requirement. Hey, make it only fast vaults, and you got yourself a solid perk where it becomes closer in line to Smash It, where you have to play correctly, you have to do the right thing, and then you're rewarded for doing that thing. It's the exact opposite of what the design philosophy that Behavior has for their bitch-ass perks. When you look at Decisive Strike, when you look at Dead Hard, when you look at Shoulder the Burden, when you look at any other meta perk nowadays, Vigil, whatever it may be, they're always passive perks that are giving you value for literally doing nothing. That's where Windows of Opportunity is so popular. You get free information at all times to know exactly where to go without requiring anything. You don't have to, say, complete a gen first, or heal someone first, or have to vault something correctly first. Like, you don't have to do anything. You spawn in and you just see everything. I'd understand if it was like, if you vault something and it went on cooldown, which is another thing that I'm going to talk about. If I know Windows must be in here somewhere. I don't know where it is. So that might be a problem, and I don't really want to have to go through the whole thing to find out. Gonna be kind of hard to find it too. But just to save us time here, with Windows of Opportunity, I said, why don't we make it so that if you want to keep it having constant aura reading, why don't you have it go on cooldown the second they vault something, because a window, I've already talked about this dictionary definition of a window of opportunity is for you to take advantage of a chance to do something, right? It like, or not really taking advantage, but rather it's a chance to do something. It's your window of opportunity. Opportunity is to, you know, have the opportunity, have the chance to do something, right? So I'm like, why don't you have it so like it goes on cooldown, make it 20 seconds or something, and then from there, like you vault, it turns off. You have to then go ahead and figure out what you're going to be able to do until you get your window of opportunity to then vault somewhere else or go to this other thing, right? Like that requires more skill expression and awareness than running around and pressing a button and running around and then pressing the same button, spacebar run, spacebar run, spacebar run, like the usual chases that you see nowadays within DBD. And it's not even like we're changing anything drastic about these perks. You're just literally just removing something or adding something back, because windows of opportunity used to have a cooldown. Just add it back in. Like these are very simple changes that will literally cause a big change. Small change leading to big opportunity or big impact is the word I'm looking for. Let's look at stakeout, because we have another timestamp for that. I don't even think it's in here. It's not the one I'm looking for. Okay, we'll look at Unbreakable, because it's right there. If we could just like get to that part, and then we can hear what he has to say.
One of those perks that's been through like a bunch of different iterations. I think it's great the way it is now. So yeah, up the ante for.
Yeah, Unbreakable. I think one thing I would say is that I wouldn't allow it to synergize with other things. Like I think that you should, which I think they changed it already. I can't confirm. It's been a long time, but the Unbreakable, I believe, used to get consumed when you plot twisted, and I think they changed it where it doesn't work. Like it doesn't anymore, or something like that. They should bring that back if it isn't in the game. I honestly, like, the perk is already pretty strong as it is, and you already have other perks that pick you up too. So like, that's something that definitely needs to be adjusted and changed. Because like, I mean, like I keep saying, these perks are meta for a reason. Like a lot of these perks are passive perks. That's why they're meta. You don't need anything to activate. And that's my biggest problem with perk balancing in DBD, is the fact that survivors have a lot of passive perks that are currently meta and have been meta for years. The meta hasn't been shaken up for Survivor in so long. It's only gotten stronger to boost up whatever already has been meta. That's why Ghost Notes is such a big tell for, I would say, like, Krasu's release, in my opinion, should have been a wake-up call for a lot of people. I mean, even the Walking Dead chapter should have already been a wake-up call, but I think the Krasu release was the biggest wake-up call, in my opinion, because it showed the divide that this game has with its balancing. Because you get a new killer and survivor, you look at the survivor perks, and they're all boosting the meta, right? You had 1, 2, 3, 4 that was combined with hyper focus, stakeout, and all this type of stuff, literally creating world record gen speeds. And we still see the effects of that even to the current day. We saw Ghost Notes, which directly buffs exhaustion recovery. So I'm like, okay, so Vigil already got buffed before that. Then Ghost Notes went on top. I'm like, okay, so now you're getting like 76% exhaustion recoveries. Like, on what planet does that make any sense, right? And I think the other perk had something to do with repair speed. I forget what that third perk did, but that was 2 out of 3 that I can recall that had such a strong impact on the game as a whole. And then you look at the Krasu's perks, and then none of them are useful. Like, all of them were dog shit. And as you guys have seen on stream, I refuse to buy the Krasu. I probably will never play her, because she's just so garbage, in my opinion. Like, she's like the poster child of the most dog shit chapter we've gotten, because she brings no perks. She got nerfed extremely hard, which, I mean, I never played her anyway, so because I just wasn't interested in the character regardless. So I was already gonna ignore the chapter as it was. But then to me, she's like the symbolic sort of like representation of what this game has fallen to. We get decent killers that get destroyed that come with doo-doo perks that have no reason to be in the game, provide no value especially for the for the literal money that you're putting in, unless you actively have enough iridescent shards. But most people are probably going to be spending like the $5 because they probably don't have enough Eerie shards or whatever it may be. And so you're wasting your bread on that. That's already like crazy work. Then the perks don't do anything. And then the character's ass. And then you're like, all right, dog, like what is the point at that point? You know what I mean? It's like terrible. And it goes without saying, dude. Like it goes without saying, like there's such a massive divide, and it's like it's obvious. Like it's weird to me that it's there's so people that can argue against it when it's like the proof is in the pudding, my guy. Like we look at some of these perks and how meta they are, and it's like why does this remain so strong? When Behavior's philosophy behind, and they've even stated recently, they're going to nerf perks that get used the most. So why it hasn't, like they only have done that 2 killer perks we've seen. Because notice that it took them how long? Over 8 to 10 years to even touch Sprint Burst, when that's one of the most used perks in the game. Vigil, same thing. It got buffed instead of nerfed when it was also one of the most used perks in the game. Unbreakable, same thing. Or Decisive, same thing. Like these perks either get buffed or adjusted, but they never get nerfed into a level where it's like it's in line with other perks. Yet when you look at killer perks that have been used constantly, they get nerfed like crazy. Notice, like, even in the recent, like, dev stream, they're nerfing Thrill of the Hunt again. Thrill of the Hunt was buffed one time, became meta for like about a week, and then nerfed immediately afterwards. And now they're nerfing it again. I'm like, for what? Like, nobody's using totems. But maybe they are, right? Maybe they are. Maybe they are trying to use totems and give themselves a bad time with their build, because they're gonna basically go perkless. But you would have more value going perkless at the end of the day, because having your 2 seconds of slowdown that people like to cope about is not going to change the name of the game. It's not going to change the outcome of what's happening during the match. That just goes without saying, bro. It just goes without saying. It's obvious. Yeah, and then also we have Call of Brine here, which is also another perk that was getting changed again. Mind you, they nerfed Call of Brine as well. I just want to point that out. The divide between the balancing here is obvious. I mean, just take a look at these perks. Why is Call of Brine, I think, had what, 150, maybe even like 110? I forget the regression because it wasn't 50%. It used to have 100 and something percent regression speed, and they dropped it down to 50%. What are we talking about, bro? Why are random perks that haven't been even in the meta since like probably about a year or two getting nerfed all the way to 50%? Then they want to go, oh, but it'll last to like 90 seconds. What? Like, the fact that it regresses at a slow rate but longer doesn't mean anything when tapping the gen is only 5 seconds. Anybody with eyesight can just walk all the way over there and just see a gen sparking and prevent it from continuing to regress in literally 5 seconds. You're not doing any damage with Call of Brine. And it's pretty obvious when you look at the loadout screen, there's only 4 slots. You don't get to use at least, honestly, killers need at least 8 slots. And like a system to limit like how many of those perks you can bring, of course, so it doesn't get out of hand, but like at least like have utilities in there so you become stronger and have more options. Like if you can have like one side of the 4 out of 8 to like give you utility, like you can only apply either stat buffs or some kind of like quality of life, like say Call of Brine could be in there. I'm not Call of Brine, my bad. What do you call it? Distressing in there or something like that, or brutal strength or something like that, or agitation or something. Like you can only have those kinds of passives in one side, and then you make the other side, you can apply slowdown or chase, like, stuff like that. I will go, okay, like you can actually, put more thought, consider how many perks are. You can use more perks, you have more thought processes with that perk, and have the system in place where you can kind of minimize certain things to actually make the killer a more powerful force. But that's not going to happen because they're not the thing is that DBD doesn't have a vision. They're not trying to have a vision as to it's just like not a vision as to what they want to do with the game. Like if they were to like go out of their way and go, you know, this is a party game, we're gonna make it all about just being scared or it being fun or whatever it may be, they can lean into that. But they don't. They want to have people on comp and then also people playing like as if it was a party game. It's like you can't have both, because the game fundamentally is just unbalanced to the core. There's no way you can properly balance it unless you decide to go out of your way to say this is a party game about being killed or being chased by a monster of some kind, whether it be from your favorite movie or a monster we created, right? As behavior speaking, right? A monster we created. And the whole thing is about fun only. We're only concerned about your experience and enjoyment of the game by running from your favorite monster or whatever it may be. So we're gonna make sure that that these killers are really are at least strong. You know what I mean? That they're threatening. And then we're gonna darken the map up a little bit more. We're gonna add it, make it more scary. You know what I mean? Like just have things like that. I think would just make it better. But you know, it is what it is, right? Like, you know, the way I'm looking at the game, especially with I even look at a game like Marvel Rivals. They went out of their way to actively say we're trying to focus on fun first. That's what they said from a lot of I think it was one of their update streams or one of their update videos or something like that. They said their focus was to make the game fun. They obviously are going to listen to feedback. They want to balance things. They're looking at, of course, data to see if there's characters overperforming or whatever it may be. Like even recently, they basically reworked their whole game to have a whole bunch of new team ups that come with new abilities. So it basically is a whole breath of fresh air, keeping the game interesting for a bunch of players who have been there for as many seasons as they have been and stuff like that. And I deeply enjoy the game. You know what I mean? And I look at that game and I say, wow, that's the standard for what live service should look like. So I don't know. I'm just I look at something like that and I'm like, they have a vision. They know what they're trying to do. They already understand. I mean, of course, there's going to be certain characters that get more skins or whatever the case may be, because obviously it's still money involved. You need to make your bread. However, I can at least appreciate that they are concerned with the players. They're at least concerned to that extent, because they understand it's a business and they need to be able to keep people playing. They need to be able to keep people on the game. So if you keep giving people what they want, that's how you keep people in. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. But regardless, I went on a bit of a rant or a tangent. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Check out the v.h.s.x channel and the Rivals channel. Been working on videos for both of those channels, so just give it a sub, man. Help us get out of the DVD slop jail so we can actually make some quality, passionate content that we've been working on tirelessly, you could say. Now we'll see you guys in the next one, man. Let me know your thoughts and consider becoming a member on this channel, because you can support directly, help fuel the channel. You know what I'm saying? And I will see you guys in the next one. All right, let's go ahead and read off these wonderful members. We got Patreon, Crow Vader. All my YouTube members, Brando, Evil Blade, Cap Courteous, WTF You're Not J-Lo, Evil Peach, Cargan Falcon, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Jack, Christian, and Crow Vader. Really appreciate you guys supporting, man. And if you also subbed on Twitch, just know that you got love coming your way too. Appreciate you guys, man.